Hey there, Salon Doctor here. If you were not at the Nashville Expo, where I gave what I consider to be a pretty sterling, good, powerful performance on recruiting, hiring and recruiting salon rock stars. Of course, there's no modesty in my family, of course. But anyway, it was a really, really good seminar, and people raved about it. Uh, there was about 100 people in the room, so a lot more people wanted this. So I thought I would get out and I would do it again and let you see what those people in Nashville saw. And if you haven't seen the one in Columbus, that's on setting up an incentives program for your salon selling people. And I'm going to have that probably published here on my website within the next day or two. We had it live recorded at the time, so it's going to look pretty good. Okay, so let's talk about what I'm here for. And what I'm here for is I want to go and talk about recruiting and hiring rock stars. That's what we're looking for. So here's a thought. Today's December 7th. If you're seeing this tonight, seeing it whenever, it's December 7th when I'm doing this. We're just going to go into the peak season now. This is really important. So as we're looking, as I'm doing this, and you may be reading this, there's some 250,000 tans just statistically being used to date around salons all over the country. And the sad part is that they will lose money. They won't, they'll lose nearly $1 million on those tans because of what we call the 30-second syndrome. The 30-second syndrome, you probably heard me preaching on it all the time. I'll preach on it again. Somebody comes in the door. Hi, how are you today? Jensen, okay. You were in bed number 5 last time. 6 minutes, good for you. Great, bang. 30 seconds from the time they walk in the door to they're sitting back and they're in the tanning room. And that just kills us. The key, and it's when I do for my clients, I do a webinar called Salon Selling Essentials. It's about an hour and a half teaching, training for sales associates and management that shows how to sell a lotion, how to sell an EFT, but certainly how to avoid the 30-second syndrome. And that's looking at the software history. That software history tells us all kinds of things if you can get your people trained to do that. Now, I've got in January and early February, I've got some times open to do live seminar training on site with clients. I've got 2 set up right now for January. So I'm going to be doing a little traveling, but which I'm still not too old to do that. But I love doing it. I love doing it live crowds. It's much better to get the people going. And I'll give you lots of uh, testimonials from people that we've done it for, and it makes a big difference. So, but anyway, here's what I want to talk about as far as the um, rock stars and trying to recruit them, because that 30-second syndrome, it really what it does is it gives us this ogre that we lose all kinds of money. I just try to pick up the nastiest face I could on there just to give you the idea that 30-second syndrome. My research is showing that we probably lose as much as 30% of our business with the 30-second syndrome. And if you ever get a chance to watch your employees from afar, if you get to listen to what they're doing, typically that's exactly what will happen. Tanner comes in and they're back in that room so quick. Now, are there some exceptions? And those are called rock stars, and that's what I want to talk about. So let's talk about rock stars, and let's talk about the common mistakes that we make in hiring. And this is true for almost all salons. We hire too fast under pressure and are under training, specifically in selling, and we replace performers too slowly. So the industry, we hire too fast, we replace too slowly, and we undertrain those people that we want to be selling for us. And this is a really key issue that we've got with our business. So I'm going to show you a little bit how to avoid that hiring too fast. So not getting new employees productive. It's incredibly important when you hire somebody and you get them in. Remember their first days on the job. It was for me when I was out younger working, and I'm sure it was for you too. One of the scariest things is the first day on the job when people walk in. The vast majority of people want to be accepted. They want the employers to think that they're doing a good job or that they can do a good job. So they want to do something. They want to be productive. So we have to show them things that they can do to be productive. And that's not just cleaning a toilet or whatever, but you get them involved in selling like right away because selling is selling is where it's at. So um, and then currently reinforcing our stars. So this is another mistake that we make. Sometimes we take for granted that these people are just going to be great, and we don't have to say anything to them. And I can tell you, for just 50 some years of managing people, even your best stars need to be reinforced. They have an ego. They have a vanity. That doesn't make them bad people. They need to be reinforced. So, keep that in mind. And the other thing too, when we talk about common recruiting mistakes, is that what we do is we tend to stop recruiting when we're fully staffed. That does not work. Today, December 7th, if you felt that you had a complete staff ready to go, say by Valentine's Day for peak, if you thought that that's what you had, don't fool yourself because as sure as God made green apples, something's going to come up. My boyfriend ate my car. My boyfriend and I are moving someplace. I'm not trying to make fun of people. It's just things happen. It's the old expression, for all your planning is great, and then there's life, because life seems to interrupt your planning. So, and then lastly, remember you have to recruit on the law of TQM. Now, the law of TQM is time, quality, money. So let me explain this to you because this is really important. If you don't have a lot of time to recruit people, if you don't have a lot of time, you're going to give up some quality. If you're not offering a lot of money to bring them in, you're going to give up some quality. If you have enough time planned. So in other words, I'm saying right now, December 7th, I'm telling all of my clients, and they're flooding in here now. This is great. This is wonderful for an old fart. I'm so busy. I've got files all over the place trying to get things done. So I love it. I love what I'm doing. But the thing is, you you have to plan your staffing now. If you wait until the first week of January, you are in big trouble because too many things can happen. You got to get them on board. And I'm hoping that a lot of you listening to me right now already have what you think is a good staff. If you're overstaffed, I have a salon that maybe only needs 6 or 7 employees and they have 11. If you're overstaffed like that, then look at who is producing for you, and sometimes make that cold decision because you got to cut it down. It's like in baseball, professional baseball. They can only have 25 players on the roster. They bring in somebody that's good, someone's got to go. So same thing here. You can't wait till February to do your recruiting. You got to do it now, but you got to do your monitoring of your employees that you currently have to see who in fact is going to cut it. And if you think they are, then good. Maybe your staff's ready. But believe me, this stuff happens. And even after you get your staff established and it's peak season and things are rolling around, never stop recruiting. Meaning that you're not maybe going out and putting out big ads, and you're not going out on electronic media or Facebook or social or whatever and saying, "Hey, we're hiring right now." Maybe you're not doing that, but if somebody walks in, a rock star walks through the door, great interpersonal skills, this person really has their act together, you have to be open because sometimes you might take in a new star coming in the door that maybe means you have to push out somebody on the bottom. Look at the key in our business because we're dealing with customers and we have to have people that are not just there to hit the T-max and then do their homework. We have to have people that are stars. And so the truth is we're always trying to bring the bottom closer to the top. And I can tell you just about any salon, if you have two rock stars and two medium rock stars, your salon's cooking. I mean, and you might have a couple other people that maybe aren't doing as well, but you've got three or four people that hide or hold down that salon and anchor it. If you ever get a chance, get a hold of Taryn Godman at Tropical Tan, one of the clients I was involved with 4 years ago when they first set up, and very proud to say that I was involved with them because they're fantastic people. The Godmans themselves, JP and Taryn, are wonderful people. Go on the internet, look at their stores. Their stores are absolutely gorgeous and they're extremely successful. And what Karen has done is a marvelous job of creating an atmosphere and a culture among her employees. But she doesn't take any baloney. I mean, she's a good boss and whatever, but if she sees that somebody's not cutting it, she's not afraid to move on. And that's one of the problems. That's one of the mistakes. This is called common recruiting mistakes, is that we have owners or managers that don't feel comfortable firing somebody. I can understand that. It's a common thing. Who wants to get involved in something negative? But you got to have your staff put together now. This is really important going into peak season. Okay, so let's also move on to the above waste payroll cost. There is so much wasted payroll cost in our business. It is huge. There's a lot of theories that are going around, and I'll share some of my theories and some of my clients' theories. Lindsay Olson, who's the general manager for 29 salons up in uh, uh, Chili Peppers up in Detroit. I've worked with this lady for 9 years now. She's an absolute killer. She absolutely defines rock stars. And if you go to my YouTube recordings, you'll see Lindsay Olson, the story, the interview on Lindsay Olson as a rock star. But one thing that Lindsay and I agreed on years ago, that if you can't keep an employee at least a year, maybe more, you're losing money because with certification and training and retraining and accepting the fact they're not going to be good at it, if they're leaving you in a few months, you've lost money. There is some hard, fast costs to turnover. Some people will say it's $3,000, $4,000. What I look at is I look at what selling was not done for those opportunities, those tans that those people handled while they were there. Whole nother story. But all these mistakes I'm talking about up here, it's all cost money and it's all controllable, should be by managers. Now, owners, if you're listening to me right now, please do yourself a favor. If you have a manager and they're truly not managing, in other words, they don't get to direct the employees, they don't have opportunity to monitor what they're doing, to work with them, to train them or retrain them. If they don't have the responsibility for that, if you're the as the owner, if you're the one that's sitting down with employees that are not working on it, and you're always the one that's retraining or redirecting, well, then your manager is not a manager. They're a glorified sales associate. And I got to tell you, it's a big loss we have in this business that we don't have managers that are rock stars. We have another rock star that I want to talk to you about, and that's Cameron Atkins at Ghostbusters Tanning. And her interview will also be on my website. We brought in Cameron at Ghostbusters about a month or two after I was working with Ghostbusters, and we got rid of the manager. The manager they had she was just terrible. Cameron is a certified killer. I don't mean, that kind of killer, but I mean, she's really, really good. What she did is she got the staff's act together. She's got great interpersonal skills. And in a minute here, I'm going to go through the attributes of a rock star. And that's what describes Cameron. And I tell you, you can't argue with success. Ghostbusters through August was up 67% over last year. And last year, when they met moi, they wanted to close their store. So we collaborated between the Ghostbusters owners, Art and Alicia, and myself, some additional pieces of equipment, but a lot of training for the staff and cleaning out the staff and putting in a rock star manager. They're off. And they just told me this week they're buying some more new pieces because they're bringing money in. So anyway, the important thing is that for you to remember is that managers and owners remember that you lead the example to others to want to copy. And it's really a truism that you're known by the company you keep. Your employees will respect you if you keep good people in there. If you keep some rock stars, and those rock stars tend to bring everybody else up. So you want employees that really like to work where they don't have to work with those that slack off. This is one of the greater demotivators that we've got in our business. You get a person that's really good, and she's surrounded with at shifts or whatever with people that are sitting there doing their homework or talking to their boyfriend or whatever. So remember, you're known. Owners and managers, you're known by the people you keep, and you're respected to the degree that you keep good people. Okay, so now I talked about the attributes of a rock star. So let's talk about that. So, what should you be looking for in a salon rock star? And this, there's some key stuff here. When you're interviewing somebody, recruiting, you want some maturity in life and career experiences. Bottom line is we want adults. You know, I couple new clients that came to me last week, very nice people, and this there's still this thing that says, well, if we could get a bed cleaner, or if we can get somebody at $8 an hour, just think about this for a second. When you look at these attributes I'm going to show you, and you can find somebody that's got those attributes, really a sharp individual, and they've got those attributes, why would they work for you for $8 an hour, for $9, for $10 an hour? The going rate in many markets is at least $12 or $13 an hour. You get out to California, it's bananas. It's Newsom wants $20 an hour, but you get to Boston, you get to some of the other markets, higher socioeconomic markets, and it's expensive. But just think about it. If somebody would come to work for you for $9 an hour, what kind of self-esteem do they have? And why are they there? Why would somebody work $9 an hour and work 8 hours? The job doesn't mean anything to them. You know, we know that they're going to have some full-time jobs, but we want this part-time job they're in to be meaningful. We want it to be something they're satisfied with what they're doing with customers, and they're getting what they think is a fair wage. Even more so if they're getting great incentives, and that you'll see in my incentives seminar. Anyway, maturity and life experiences, adults. Now, let's talk about this. Natural, engaging interpersonal skills. That Cameron I'm mentioning to you, the very first time I talked to this lady on the phone, I thought, wow, man, I wish we could clone her. She's really good. But I can name all kinds of people like that. There's a lady named Megan at a salon out in Arkansas, and she's going to be also one of our rock stars that we're going to be doing an interview on. Megan's dynamite, just dynamite. When I start working with her, she hardly knew the software, but she took the initiative, studied the software, was giving me all the numbers I needed to have to do the analysis. She is great with customers. She's great with the other employees. But a lot of times we look past this. We think, well, maybe we can develop this person. So let me talk to you about natural, engaging interpersonal skills. I want to see a person with a selling ego, somebody with swagger. Give you an example. I've been publicly speaking for 40 years. When I first started, I didn't have that ego. I got that ego now. I mean, I am so egotistical when it comes to speaking. I really believe I know my shit, right? And I'm really here to share it with you. But I am really committed to it. I've got a passion for it. And that's what you want. You want people to work in your salon that have a passion for tanning. We are never going to be the job that a person takes just because they're trying to have, all the money in the world. I mean, this is going to be their last job. They can buy a house and a car, whatever. We're not designed that way, and most retail businesses are not designed that way. But what we do want is we want a person that has tremendous passion for working in a tanning salon. It's much better than being at the drive-up window at Wendy's. I mean, in this business, if you work at a tanning salon, you get to help people walk out the door feeling great about themselves. I mean, How does it get any better than that? And our country right now does have its own share of low self-esteem, like lower than whale doo-doo. So it's a great occupation to be in. So we want swagger, we want confidence, and that's what you're looking for. And we want experience in retail indulgence. So if they worked at a fitness center, or they worked at a beauty massage, whatever, if we can find that. Now, you won't always find that, but you can find indulgence. And indulgence could be a high-end restaurant, because where the people that are there, the wait staff, men or women, uh, really they make a lot of money on tips. And so they really can provide a lot of selling and a lot of swagger to convince people to buy, like me, to buy that more expensive bottle of wine. Okay, so the next thing, we want them to be, this is not asking too much, okay? These are the attributes. We want somebody that's responsible, reliable, excellent work ethics, and takes the initiative. Look, if after you put somebody on, and we just had this at a chain, we hired somebody as going to be the new general manager, and within the first 3 or 4 weeks, my client saw that this person is just not responsible, just not reliable. We don't even know why he wanted to go after the job because he showed such passion. And that'll happen. Sometimes you're excited about somebody and maybe it doesn't work out. But anyway, you want that. You want work ethics. Okay. Now, the dress for success. So let's talk about this for a moment. Dress for success. They show up to impress. A little bit of poetry there. Look, at somebody walks in the door to have an interview with you, and I know that the rips in the jeans are the big thing, whatever. But I don't care what that is. If I'm going to go in and apply for a job, I want to really look good. And one of the standards I do seminars, by the way, also at the college level to help college seniors and get them ready for interviewing for their jobs. And I always say, look at dress the way the next level above you would be dressing, the next level above what you're applying for. And that's really important. I sometimes I go to meetings with employees to do some training with them, and they'll show up and I'm seeing people with hardly any tans, and I see them dressed like they're going to go watch a wrestling match. You know, we have to be better trainers. We have to be better leaders as owners and managers. We got to get these people to be thinking about, I'm selling an indulgence. I've got to look like I know what the hell I'm doing, and that I'm really and passionate about what I'm doing. So, dress for success, look to impress. Great work ethic and passion to provide service. We like roots in the community. Somebody applies for you and they just moved in from 6 states away. Doesn't mean that you don't consider them, but you'd want to know something about how did they get there? What was the decision they made to get there? When someone's right in the community, and they've been there for a long time, that's definitely helpful. Now, the other thing too, when you're hiring these people, you're looking at them, even if you think they're competent, they also have to be compatible with you. You as the owner or the manager. If you hire somebody, you think they're pretty good, but you don't like their personality. You'll think that they're really interacting well with you. I had one just last year in Chicago where we had to terminate the person. The person had, I think, a big potential, but she and the owner just didn't hit it off. So, but it happens. So hire for competence, but also hire for compatibility. Okay, so um, moving on. Is your employment application up to date? Now, this is just a sample of an employment application that we use. You can use it out on social media and whatever. If it's not, by the way, I've got QR codes in this presentation several times. If you go on my QR code, you'll go to my website. I got I got content, HR content. I got content for everything in this industry to choke a team of Clydesdales. It's there, people. It's all there. So if you're looking for an application, whatever, and if you feel that you wonder if your application is up to date. Well, you can just send it to me and I'll take a look at it and I'll let you know if there's something on there that I would change on your application to make it more applicable. All right, so critical keys to successful interviewing. You want to be prepared for pre-screening and good questions list. So you got their application. You should look at some things on there, where they worked, how long they were there, monies that they were making, reasons for leaving, all that kind of stuff. Be prepared with that. Um, Now, be prepared with a pre-screening. So you want to make the applicant, and I'm going to go through pre-screening here in just a minute, but you want to make the applicant comfortable when you're talking to them. And then you ask them for permission to take notes. Somebody comes in that they're a stranger. They don't know you. They just think you're the judge and you're going to, you know, put the gavel down on them if you don't like them. So you want to get them comfortable. You want to find out who the real person is. So ask them. By the way, we're going to be talking about a lot of good things today, Lisa. And I'm not always good at remembering everything. It's okay with you if I take notes. Okay, you're starting to create a relationship with them that you want it to be trusting. So, uh, all right, and again, look for compatibility as well as competence. Now, be ready to discuss their desired job performances, their base and incentive compensation, your performance feedback strategy, your salon training plan, and possibilities. Be ready to discuss that stuff. And then also, um, be ready to talk about career pathing. This younger generation, although they are a pain in the neck with some of their what we consider to be weird ideas, and remember, COVID made it just that much worse because what we did is we programmed a generation of younger workers that they could stay at home and get paid, and now all of a sudden they've got to work, and so, and the other thing that COVID did is it said after COVID was done that people didn't have to work where they were working. They could be a little flaky, work at a tanning salon, work at Starbucks, work someplace else where they could change jobs like changing shorts. That's not really the case anymore. I mean, that's kind of settled down. So what I like to see salons do is set up a career path. Now, if you look on that career path, and you don't have to have 12 stores, you have one store. On the bottom, if you see down at the very bottom, new associate in training. When we first hire a person and bring them in the door, they are an NAIT, a new associate in training. And then after they've proven they've done their certification, and maybe you can see that they're starting to create a PSA, a per sale average, that they're doing well with that. Then you promote them to a Salon Associate 1. And you see the way it goes: Salon Associate 1, Salon Associate 1, Salon Associate 2. So people have got titles, but this is because these younger people don't want to be trapped in something where they feel they can't go anyplace. Now, you get a big chain, there's all kinds of opportunities for them maybe to move on, be manager or whatever. But at least if we give them the opportunity, if they know they can go from a sales associate up to maybe being the assistant salon manager, and who knows, that might, you owner, give you an opportunity to see somebody that might be able to be your salon manager someday. All right. So you've already had some interaction time. You might know their personal life and communication skills. You know how they handle the responsibility of their account. What am I talking about when I say that? I'm saying, where do I look for tan rock stars? And the best candidates will come from your salon email database, bar none. You can go on all these Craig's, um, uh, yeah, I'm having a brain lock, having an old, all the stuff that's out there where you can use as a recruiting source. The best, please take my word on this, is your email database. If people sign up for your email database, if customers sign up for that, it answers all the unknowns. The unknowns that they like tanning, they like your tanning. You may have interviewed them. You might get an honest feedback on your salon from them. See if they think about it. Um, they might probably live close to your salons, which I love to say eliminates the gee, my boyfriend ate my car. You know, you've already had that interaction time. So those are the kind of things you're looking for, and it's important stuff. Um, Here, hold on here. Okay, so how can I be better prepared for interviews? So, in general, this industry wastes an enormous amount of time, and some of the time that it wastes is the most valuable. It wastes owners' time, it wastes managers' time, and there's a lot of other things you can do. Managers and owners can both be working with salon associates to help them be better at selling. After all, that's what we're here for, right? We're here to sell. So, pre-screen. Don't talk to somebody, um, you know, at the counter. Don't If they come in at the counter and they want to apply for a job, you get their name and number and tell them that you'll call them back. Because first of all, you don't want to do interviews at the counter. There's other employees around. There's customers around. You want your you want your applicants to feel comfortable. And to do that, you've got to get some information on them. So I say do a pre-screening. And that starts to save you time. Because I tell you, seriously, this industry wastes too much time um, because it's not prepared for their interview. Okay, so moving on. Pre-screening questions. So you're going to pre-screen somebody now. They come in for the counter and say, hey, you're looking for more employees. I'd like to, okay, great, terrific. Give me your phone number and let's set up a time and I will call you. Like I said, don't do the interview at the counter. Don't do any physical interview then. Get them on the phone. And you get them on the phone and you can ask them some basic foundation questions. So over the phone, text via email, preferably not face to face. Where do you work now and why are you looking to change? Do they seem to have too many job changes or employment gaps? And that's an important thing because we don't really want to hire somebody that is a member of the Job of the Month Club. We really don't want that. We're going to give people some pretty intense training in our industry, certification and training and additional training and additional training. And if you bring the salon doctor on, I'm really going to give them some additional training on how to sell lotions and how to sell EFTs, our lifeblood, going through the rest of the year. So we want people that are not going to be changing jobs like they change shorts. So we are looking for in that job or that phone interview perceived personality compatibility, matches or mismatches with your personality. We're looking for natural warmth, natural energy, natural enthusiasm, and love of tanning. At least 2 years of retail service experience, not counting fast food. I know that there are people out there who say, well, I was in fast food and I got into tanning and I did a great job and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, terrific. But I have to tell you, not it's not often that that happens. Retail fast food is I say it all the time. I pull up to Wendy's. If the lady at the counter hands me my hamburger and she's rude, I don't care. What I'm buying is not her. I'm buying the food. But listen, people are going to they're going to invest hundreds of dollars into your salon in both services and lotions and probably other services, spa stuff that we're putting in. And once they get bonded to you, they're not going to go to your competitor. I don't care if your competitor's got the next XBED or whatever. If they're bonded to you, they're going to stick with you. So we don't want fast food. Okay. So then you ask them, what are you looking to make? Why are you looking to make a job change? Ask about why they changed their prior jobs. And when they're talking about that, kind of gives you the thinking what I have changed for that particular reason. It gives you a look ahead. There's also wage expectations and available hours and shifts. So let's stop here for a minute. This is why you do this. It's pre-screening. So what are you looking to make wage wise? Well, I'd like to make $22 an hour. Probably a lot of your managers say, hey, I'd like to make $22 an hour. And when are you available? Oh, I'm available all the time. Anything you want me to do, I'm available. Now, we know that applicants sometimes lie their fannies off. I'm available anytime. Then they get on the job and they can work every other Ash Wednesday, and just it's crazy. But at least you have to start by asking them about their wage expectations and available hours. Okay, so let's talk about now the goal. And what is the goal that we're looking at? What's the most important goal of good interviewing? Yes, we're trying to discover the real person sitting in front of you. And what may look like these are two very sharp ladies. The one on the right, I used by contract, I used her image on my last book that I wrote. The one on the other side is from one of our salons, whose name escapes me right now. This is what you're looking for. But now, what should we? Let's get right down. Let's get to the heart of what I got to get right to the heart of a problem here. What should be selling an indulgent? What should be selling an indulgent experience is not some employees' self-expression. Let me say that one more time. What should be selling an indulgent experience, which is what we are, is not some employees' self-expression. And there's going to be people who say, well, I think we should be able to do with our body whatever. Yeah, do with your body whatever you want. As long as you can cover up most of it so you don't have the map of Wisconsin on your face. Because you have to remember that with tattoos and with body piercings. These are personal decisions that somebody made that expresses something that they feel on the inside. But it's highly unlikely that that tattoo of a boat anchor going through the mouth of a tiger would be something that other people would find acceptable. And the person that's important in that case is not the person behind the counter with the tattoos. It's the person that's getting ready to invest their time and their money with us. So they want to have tattoos, try to keep most of them covered if you can. And some salons will say if they want to have a body piercing, they can have a little subtle stone up here in the nose. You have to be careful with this, and you have to have this in your handbook because if you don't have it defined, someone will say, "Well, she had two studs, and so I've got five. Well, she had five, so now," and the next thing you know, they look like this. Okay, I know it's an exaggeration, but my God. All this does is reminds me of what an old fart I am. I look at this and I can't, it's like, oh. Okay, so we should be selling indulgence experience, not some employee's self-expression. Okay, what will help to see the real person? Non-authoritarian seating. So you've set up now, you've gone through your pre-interview and you think you want to interview this person in person. And you bring them in. Non-authoritarian seating. So you don't sit behind some giant desk and they're sitting in front of the desk and it's almost like a judge in court. You want to kind of maybe sit over to the side of the desk so you're fairly close to them. So they see, hey, they're just like me. They're not some nasty judge that's going to bring the hammer down on me. And you want to say, hey, thanks for coming in. Really appreciate that you came in and offer them a refreshment. Now, you say, what? I'll use my Celsius. I love Celsius. Anyway, so a couple bottles of water you've got there. Employer, the applicant comes in, sits down. You have two bottles of water. And you say, hey, by the way, I've got a bottle of cold water here if you want that. Oh, and they most of the time they'll say, no, that's okay, because they're too nervous to drink. But then you start hitting it. So let's talk about you hit that a few more times. What's going to happen because they're nervous? They're going to be dry. Their mouth is going to be dry. Your goal is you hope that they pick up that bottle of water and start drinking. And why is that? You want to be just the same as them. This is a decision that you make, but it's also a decision they make. So, and now if they're drinking water with you and whatever, and you looked at the application, you found out where they went to high school and the other stuff that's on there, and you bring that up with that small talk when you first start out, you're getting them to lower their guard and identifying with you as a real person, not just some nasty person going to make a decision. And you got to look at their background. What is in their background that is the same as your background? When I hire people, and I've hired thousands of them, it's the very first thing I look for is I want to get them comfortable. I don't want them to see me as some kind of guy that breathes fire or whatever. I want them to see me as a real person. Because I'm going to see them as a real person. And always interview in private, not in front of the counter. Uh, you know, inside or outside of the salon. Make sure that you're not interrupted by employees. And I do a little thing. When I'm interviewing in a store, I'll say to the person that's running the counter, I'll say, "Hey, Lisa, I'm going to be back here with Megan, this lady that's interviewing. Please do me a favor, will you? Don't let any calls come back to me because I'm going to be doing this interview with Megan." Now that's a little bit of drama there in front of the applicant to say nothing else is important to me except talking to you. So, all right. So also be prepared with open-ended questions. Avoid questions of yes or no answers such, I love this one. Do you like working with people? Once I would love to be able to answer that question. And someone said, are you kidding? I hate people. I'd like to kill them all. I might do that tonight. A little bit of exaggeration, but so don't ask an obvious question. It's either a yes or no, and it's one that everybody's going to say, yeah, I like people. Be prepared to use additional probing questions. If they say, I really liked my past job, well, don't move on to the next question. Oh, oh, that's great. I'm glad you liked it. So can you share with me why you liked that last job? That's probing. Probing is it's a subtle way of getting them to expand on their answer. And that's what you want. Probing defined is getting the applicant to expand on many of their answers. And remember, it's just two people sharing their thoughts about what they offer to each other. It looks like I missed some spelling there. Okay, so interview approaches that don't work. These are ones that don't work. Don't have two other people beside yourself. Don't have the owner and another owner and a manager and interviewing one person. It's a tribunal approach. No, no, no. All that is it's a good way to get the person to gum up and not say anything. Remember, our goal is to get them to speak openly with us. Um, Now, somebody in our industry was watching, I think, The Wolf of Wall Street years ago or something similar, and said they want to use with an applicant. This is a new person walking off the street. They don't know from Adam, and Adam doesn't know from them. They pick up a pen and they hand it to the applicant and they say, sell me this pen. When I hear this stuff, for me, it's like fingernails on a chalkboard. I have been managing people for 56 years. I've interviewed thousands and thousands of people at all levels, senior executive levels. No one is going to be. How can they sell you a pen? They don't know anything about the pen. You might as well ask them, hey, sell me the most expensive EFT in the store. Well, they don't know that. They haven't been trained in it. You're just putting the applicant on the spot. It's not a good thing to do. Remember, you want them comfortable. You want to know who the real person is. Now, don't sell the job before you're sold. That's another key. And at the counter interviews, as I said earlier, you want to interview in private. Okay. So the length of the industry average is for interviews is 28 minutes. 28 minutes. The consideration time to buy a new used tanning bed, 5+ hours. Think about this. The people you put behind the counter, you've done a great job in build out. The salon is gorgeous. You've got chandeliers. You've got KBLs and ergoline vitalities, and the stuff looks like it's spaceships, and it's great and it's fantastic. Somebody comes in, and the person behind the counter is just dead weight. I mean, they come in and say, "You were on bed number 5 last time. Is that good for you?" That's why when we hire someone in 28 minutes, what do we know about them? You know, it's I'm just saying you need to take more time, invest time in those people because we've done studies, lost opportunity studies for several clients. We did one on one chain, and over a year, 2023, they lost $750,000 because the people they hired were basically, dead from the shoulders up. Okay, moving on. Such glad all my opinions. Okay, you want some good interview questions. Now, there's going to be a QR code that's going to come up here pretty soon. And with that QR code, you can go directly to my website. There is a section on there for interview questions. It's 38 questions. 38. About half of them are for uh, selling associate people, and then the other half are supervisory up to senior management positions, whatever. So you're not going to ask 20 questions. You pick out the questions that you want, but I'm going to show you the questions I would use, some of the questions I would use, okay? And so to start with, it's really basic. Could you please give me a brief summary? Now, you may have gotten this on the telephone, the pre interview telephone conversation that you had. You may have gotten some of this. The important thing to ask it now is to see if what they said on the phone to what they're saying now, if it's consistent. Might be a good thing to know. But give me a brief summary about your personal as well as working background. And it kind of works as an icebreaker because everybody is their own most favorite topic. I am. You want to pick up the phone and call me? Listen, look behind me. I work with Academy Award winners and rock stars for 20 some years. I got all kinds of stuff to tell you, but that's not the point. It's to get them to talk about a summary of themselves because that's a good icebreaker. When they get comfortable, and by the way, you want to be deferential. Deferential means if they said, "Well, I went into this National Guard for a 2 year stint or whatever," jump on that and say, "Well, that's fantastic." Probing, right? What led to the decision to do that? Because you must be very proud of that. See, that's the kind of stuff that gets them thinking, this is not your typical interview. This person really cares about me. So, what were your duties and responsibilities at those jobs? And does it sound like those are things that make sense to you? Okay, next. What do you know about our salon? Now, that's a fair question. Have they done their homework? Somebody comes in and they haven't ever tanned. That's a real turnoff right away. But let's say they have, and you've asked them, "Are you a tanner?" "Yes, I'm a tanner." "So where do you tan?" "Well, I tan over such and such." How do you compare them to us? You've looked at our equipment? Have you ever been in here and tanned with us? I mean, and they don't know anything about our salon. It's not necessarily does it kill the deal, but it doesn't say a lot of good things about them either. If if you want to work in an industry like tanning and you feel that maybe you can make some good money, you feel that there's good room for promotion, whatever, you'd be doing some homework. And I think it's a fair question to ask. What were the reasons for leaving previous jobs? So you want to go through the most recent and look for patterns. Were there patterns why they left? I know I've been in an interview where a person said, "Well, I didn't like the person I was working for." And my response when they first said that, my response, so I didn't get them fearful of this. I said, "Hey, it happens. Not all bosses are created equal." But then they went on, and the second job didn't like the person. The third job, they thought there's a pattern here that does not look good. This person does not apparently like to collaborate with authority. Okay, so those are things you got to look at. Okay, so some good interview questions, some more rather. Who is your best boss, and who is your worst boss? This is a probing opportunity. And are they describing your traits? Maybe if they're describing their best boss, maybe they're not describing. If they describe the worst boss, maybe they are describing you. I don't know. But this is a good question. Tell me the best boss you ever worked for. Well, I worked for Art over at the lumber yard. I worked in the office over there. Oh, well, oh, that's good to know that Art was such a good boss. Well, why was he your best boss? Well, he see if they have any reason, if they know why they thought he was a, well, he was understanding. He tried to help train me on the job, and when I made a mistake, he didn't, take a hammer after me or whatever. She or he should have reasons, mostly she, for why they were the best boss. Now, worst boss gets a little bit more pointed here because the worst boss, um, if they're describing their worst boss in very impassioned terms, like they basically would like to get a shotgun the next time they see them. But if they say something to you like, uh, I thought my boss was a little bit too um, interested in one of our other female employees, and that's all I want to talk about, and left it at that. Well, okay, I'd accept that. Might have been a truth there. Okay, this one I like. What in your life are you most proud of? Because that shows if they have good self-esteem. Now, I can tell you all kinds of things I'm proud of in my life. And I'll bet you if I had you, all of you that are watching this, if I had you in my office right now, I know you could tell me something you're most proud of. Now, this is such a personal question. It's not illegal. It's very, very legal to ask that. What'll happen is they might be a little bit shell shocked to start with. So if they can't, if you say, what are you most proud of in your life? Say, hey, that's okay. I kind of hit you with an important question. Hold on to that. We'll come back to it. Anytime you're doing questions and they seem like they are not ready for it, okay, well, it happens. What you do is just say, we'll come back to that. Okay. Next one. Were you able to make suggestions at those jobs to make the business better? Hmm, that's kind of interesting. And I'm sure a lot of you watching this is going to say, who does that? Well, who does it? That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I thought we had a better way of packing and doing this at Staples, and I came up with, man. See, again, see, this is somebody that really wants a job. They've done their homework. They're set to go in and show you their rock star personality and their interaction with people and things that they can do that they've done. That's good stuff. Now, here's one. How did you handle a customer that was dissatisfied? Never ask how would you. How would you is not a predictor. The predictor should be how did you handle a customer? Well, I had somebody that came in, they were very unhappy, and I just told them I would take care of it. This is a probing opportunity. Well, could you enlarge on your answer a little bit? What were the things that you did to make them feel about the situation? What was the outcome of that? Get them to talk about it. Because after all, we're in a business here. We're asking them to spend money and time. And this is stuff that's valuable. Both are valuable to them. So we're going to have some complaints every once in a while. Even though people come there to feel better, sometimes they don't. And there are some people in this world that are just natural complainers. And it happens. But you got to know, how did they handle it? The best way, of course, always to handle a dissatisfied customer is with empathy. It's parroting back to them, hey, and you got to do it sincerely, not the way that AT&T telephone service people that live in the Philippines do it, where they repeat the same thing. I'm so sorry that you upset. I want to reach across the phone. I want to slap them. I'm tired of hearing that you're sorry. I want you to take care of my problem. But anyway, if you can say, um, okay, um, you made an attempt to take the wind out of the customer's sails. The most important thing we have to do is whatever passion that they're dissatisfied with, we have to address that. And by saying, I'm sorry that we did a terrible job. We obviously did a terrible job. Unless you think that they're seeing something wrong, and then you can kind of defend it. But remember this, regardless of what the situation is, you try to defend a customer complaint, it probably doesn't work. That's just the way it is. Okay, in your past jobs, what were your strengths as an employee? I don't think that's asking too much. Well, I was really good at getting all of the cleanup chores done in time. But really, well, what cleanup chores did you have? Did you find a way to do them better than, probing again, probing. Um, outside of, now here's this one is, there's nothing illegal about this question. What would be illegal about this question is if you said to somebody, I see that you have one arm wrapped up. Um, you know, can you do the job with one arm wrapped up? That might be crossing the line of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And yes, I had a lot of employment law in the build up to my MBA. But you can say outside of any physical or mental disabilities, you're talking to this person. So Lisa, tell me, outside of any physical or mental disabilities, because I don't want to know about those, la 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 la. What were the reasons for some of your absences or tardiness with past jobs? They may tell you the truth, they may not. Might be interesting what they told you. Okay, next thing. Tell me about a time I love this one. We're not talking about selling a pen, we're talking about selling in general. Tell me about a time you had to sell an idea or yourself to someone else. And this typically is where the rubber meets the road. And as an example, you could say, well, this last job you worked at, you worked there for 3 years. You must have sold the employer. So that's just an example. So tell me about the a time that you had to sell your idea, yourself or your idea, to somebody else. Because isn't that what we're looking for here? We're looking for people that can sell, and they should know something about this. Um, okay, how about this? What in your personal work life are you most proud of? All right, so we said it earlier. We're assuming that they couldn't answer it then, so we come back and we hit it with them again. And by that time, hopefully they've had time to think about what it is that they want to talk about. Now, how about the bad first impressions of interviewing? If the interviewee shows up with an excessive amount of body piercings or visible tattoos, good judgment is balancing the need for self-expression. I'll repeat this. Good judgment on their part would be balancing the need for self-expression with the need of first impression. I came up with that. I was so proud of that. Or anyone who badmouths their past bosses. Somebody starts really ripping into their past. Hey, everybody's maybe had a bad boss or two, and you'd really like to rip into them and talk to somebody else, but your good judgment tells you, maybe I'm not going to do that. I don't think I want to get into that. Okay. Any response that shows a lack of commitment to work in general. Can I do my homework in between customers? Can I do my homework in between customers? They ask those questions sometimes. Okay. Any reference to a desired work schedule that contradicts what they said during the pre-screening interview when they said, I'll work for you anytime and whatever, it's whatever you want. And then you get in there and they say, well, I've got classes. I'm going to do cheerleading. By the way, I got to stop on cheerleading. Please do yourself a favor. Don't hire college students. I mean, I know that sounds terrible, but just don't hire them because they're not bad people. They're not bad people. It's just that they got a lot of stuff going on, and you need adults. You need adults. Now, also the question list. You see my complete list of 38 questions from my website. There's that QR code. So you get out your phone and you click on that. You'll come to my website, and there's tons of content down there that can help you with running your business. Okay, good magic moments of interviewing. The interviewee's efforts to try to sell the interviewer and why she wants the job. I love it. It doesn't happen all the time. When someone says, I really think I'd be great in this business. I love to tan. I'm good with people. This Cameron that I interviewed that became a rock star manager, this is what she did. I mean, when she got to the point where she was telling me she really wanted this job. She was going to show me what she could do with this job. If someone says to me, I'm going to show you what I can do with this job, I mean, hey, let's sign up. Now, they could be full of baloney, but that's a good start. Interviewer comes prepared to ask specific questions. Somebody comes in and does an interview with you, and they're sitting over there like a bump on a log, and they're not asking any questions, or at least the only question they ask, how much does this job pay? If somebody comes in and the only thing they want to know is my tanning free and how much does it pay, that's not good signs. They got to have more interest in your business than that. Um, Now, natural warmth, magic moments of interview, natural warmth. There is a book I would recommend to you. I wish I wrote it. It is written by the Gallup organization, the same organization that predicts all of the elections and that kind of thing. They've been in business for years. They did a study on 86,000 managers, people in management at different industries. And what they came up was is that there's skills, knowledge, and talent. Skills and knowledge are things we can teach people. Talent is the natural reoccurring of attitudes and actions. All right, good, bad, more good magic moments, consistent eye contact. We want that. Demonstrate a desire for training or redirection. Not afraid to make mistakes. Obvious extroverted interpersonal skills. Physically prepared for the interview. Nicely dressed. Hair done. Makeup complete. No exposed body piercings or tattoos or questionable desire to have color. If somebody says, no, I don't tan, it may not necessarily take them out of it, but maybe what it is they could spray tan. I go in and I do too many live meetings with employees in tanning salons. And when I see that most of them are whiter than me, and I'm whiter than the underbelly of a newborn gosling, when I see that, it really turns me off. I think, wow, guys, this is what we're selling, what people aspire to be. So anyway, that QR code is in there. Um, More keys to successful interviewing. Don't sell the job until you're sold on them. Present all the reasons they should work for you, like we have a flexible work schedule. You can gain experience in selling portable skills. This is something that's important to people, young people that want to make something with their life. We're going to show you how to sell. That's a good portable skill. Having people feel good about themselves. We're in the business of self-esteem. Incentive programs. I got to tell you, the incentive programs we're setting up now are more lucrative than ever before because we want people to stay, but we want people to sell. Free tanning is good, make whatever. Now here's the last one, and I'm going to stop this right now. Tell you this is my last point I want to make. When I'm selling somebody, I don't care if this sounds egotistical or not. I say this last thing because I truly believe this about me. I have been managing people for 56 years. I've 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 managed thousands, and I believe in my heart I'm the best boss they would ever work for because I always keep my cool. I'm a good listener. I have a lot of empathy. I want them to do better, and I'll help them to be better. There's only two things, and you should use this as a guide. There's only two things that you should pull an immediate alarm and get rid of that employee. Somebody that's got a crappy attitude and that's not making any effort. If they don't want to make any effort to get better and they got a crappy attitude, don't waste your time. You're wasting your time. Don't just get rid of them. So I want to thank you for, I know I've been on this for a long time, but this was a very important seminar that I did in Nashville at the expo, and I wanted everybody else to have it because we had about 110 people in the room down in Nashville, but there's a lot more people out there. So I'm really stoked about peak season, guys. I think this peak 2025 is going to be a killer. I think we're going to see people coming out of the woodwork because their confidence is going up. My confidence is going up. It was you know, too sheltered there for a number of years while getting into politics. So I think 2025 is going to be a fantastic year. But here's the thing: you got to have your pricing right. You got to have your staffing right. You got to have your marketing right. Those are three biggies. If you don't have it, then please, on that QR code I gave you earlier, go to that QR code and set up a free consultation with me, a free 1 hour consultation. If you give me your salon numbers, I'll compare it against our network of 350 salons. I'll tell you where you sit, and I'll tell you what you need to do to get better. Well, thank you for listening. It's you guys have been great. It's just amazing. But I love the business, as you can tell, and I want everybody to be successful because I'm too damn old to change industries. So thank you. Have a good one. Have a good peak season. We'll speak to you later. Bye bye.